Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome back to Opus Magnum with Lyte. And today we've got ourselves Litharge separation, which is new. Used to be lead separation. It had a slightly different setup, so all of my old solutions totally borked. So I had to start over. Well, I didn't have to start over. I could have adapted them, but they were under the fundamental assumption, and especially the speed cases, that you had 2 lead exits and 1 for salt. However, it is no longer the case. We have 1 lead, we have 1 salt. That is all. And so you need to take at least a slightly different approach, maybe not for the cost or the area, because for the cost, you just use the 1 arm. It does what it needs to do. You just grab it, swing it about, slice every bit, and make it to the exit. Now, there's likely a more efficient way to do this one. But again, whenever I do the low cost or low size, I'm not optimizing for speed. I just want to get it done. And people have been interacting with my combined metric, finding things they don't agree with, and that's fantastic. I love prompting discussions about this sort of thing, because then we can make progress towards something that either everyone can agree on, or at least build communities around the various potential ways of doing it. And people can at least agree with each other, if not with everyone. And so this one, it's a fairly straightforward thing, except for one minor oddity, which will actually come in handy for one of our later solutions. And that's that we get to this point and we're like, oh, well, we don't actually need to finish that last lead thing. We still had various pieces left. Previously, when we had the 2 lead and the 1 salt exits, you could only send 2 lead to each of them. You couldn't send all 4 to a single exit. And then with the salt, you got 2 of them, but the 3rd one didn't even count. You dump it in, it didn't count. It's mean, game. It's mean. And so now you can just fill them willy-nilly, and everything's fine. Which will actually come in handy when we're trying to speed this up a bit. I'm going to wait on that one because it's my only speed solution, and it's a nightmare. So we're going to do these other ones first, where I tried to make it nice and small, but I just wanted to get it done small. And the trouble is we've got a 3-long track with a separate arm and a couple of one empty space that just doesn't get used for anything. And empty space is a red flag. Just no. Avoid it at all costs. Granted, we are able to spend a lot of time over the entrance, which saves us quite a bit. But in the end, it's just no good. So what do? Well, we improvise. We're like, well, we liked holding on to it over the entrance. Great. We liked having this along the side such that we can spin it, because spinning it is very important. Now, the problem is when you've got just the 4 lead at the end, it causes problems. Because the shape of it, if you try to pull it off to interact with it, it lets the next input out, and then you lose all of your maneuverability. So the difference with this solution is that now we just pull it apart piece by piece. Instead of getting rid of all of the salt at the beginning, we grab it little by little and pull each piece one by one. Now, the part that bugs me the most is this last bit right here. You get to this point, I have not used this 3rd piece of track. And I'm so tempted to just make it not use that 3rd piece of track, but you have to, because to get the nice slice here, you needed to get further away from where you started. And if you don't have this piece of track, you can't reach this hex. And so I needed that 3rd piece of track just for that last thing. I don't approve. I don't think it's the best it can be, but it might be the best it can be. And it is in the top percentile, so I know at the very least it's quite good. But I just, I want to get rid of one more hex, and I just don't see how. So, if you do, down in the comment section over on Twitter or on the Discord, I am always happy to see your crazy solutions. And hey, look, that right there, that tiny little sliver, pretty sure that's some genius who got it down to 13. There's just a tiny little sliver below this right here. And I'm like, oh, that's got to be 13 right there. It's got to be. Because any less, really? Like, I don't see how you could do this without either track. You need to have these, you need to have an arm, you need to have 2 exits, you need to have two for the slicer. So somebody managed to do this without this right up here. And I'm like, well, can we just never go up to this one? Well, if we move down here and pull it up, and then push it back, and then come up here and rotate it, I think we might be able to do it. Let's do it on camera so you can just see this sort of thing happen. We're going to make a copy. We're going to open it up. We're going to get rid of this. We pull it. We do all of this. Okay. Now at this point, we do something different. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab... let's just get rid of all of it. We're going to reprogram it. It'll be a nice long episode because, of course, we also need to explain the nightmare that is the speed solution. Okay, so from here out is gone. Because sometimes you need to be right in the moment to see it. When the pressure's on, you're like, oh, I'm in public. Oh, I can't just leave it. So we dropped it. We go to minus, we grab it, we pull it, and then we push it back. Because it's served its purpose. Then we go back to the plus, we grab it, we rotate it this way, which means we'll have a lead here. So we drop it, pull, we go to the minus, we turn that way, we grab it, we push it, we drop it. Oh, we did something wrong. We forgot to drop it. So we drop it here. Is that correct? I don't know. Yeah, we drop it, we push, we grab, we rotate. Ooh, we need to rotate twice. Now, thankfully, once we've done this, we can repeat the instructions for the next bit. Okay, so we have dropped it. We still need it to be length 2, so we can do this, rotate, push, grab, rotate. We drop, pull, grab the salt, move it to the left, and drop it. Okay. Now we do a similar thing. We rotate out, we push, we grab it, we rotate it, we pull it, we push it. And then we rotate it twice. Okay, and now we're ready to grab the next lead. And we've grabbed the next lead and dropped it. We can rotate, we can plus, we grab, we rotate, we drop, pull, grab, left, drop. And so that should drop the next salt into the exit. Okay, dokes, and we're pretty much home free now. We rotate, we go to minus, we grab it, we rotate it, which will slice for the last time, drop, plus, grab, rotate, drop, minus, rotate, grab, plus, rotate, reset. So that should destroy the whole thing, and we got it down to Oh! We put it in the wrong one. Okay, so we don't need to plus. We rotate and drop. We rotate, grab, push, drop, pull, rotate, grab, rotate, push, reset. Always do that sort of thing where I just drop it into the wrong bin. And there we are. We only used 13 area, and you saw how I adapted a solution where my focus got too focused. Like, what don't I like about this? I don't like using that one. Is that one really the problem? Maybe it's the other one that's actually the problem. And there we go, down to 13 in that tiny little sliver. Whew. Now this one needs a better name. It is no longer slope. It is now a gem. Because if you open it up, you got a nice rupee looking orientation. It's a glorious little gem. Now, buckle up, everybody. This one, whew, it's a bit noisy. I'm not talking about the sound it makes. Well, the sound it makes is pretty noisy too, but this right up here in particular, whew, it's hard to see through everything that's going on here. Yikes. So what even is going on here? So we've got our input, our output. We've got one here, which is the salt, and we've got one here, which is the lead. The biggest problem with this is that the input is no longer the bottleneck. It's always a frightful occasion when the output is what's slowing you down, because for each input, we generate 4 lead and 3 salt. Such an imbalanced sort of thing needs to be corrected somehow. And you can pull this every 2, but for every thing that you pull, you've got 3 products, which means you can only drop every 2. And so to drop every 2, you're pulling every 3. And pulling every 3 is weird. Arms are not very well suited for pulling in 3s. They're just fine for 2s. They're just fine for 4s, but 3s are weird. Weird, man. Weird. And so we have to use tracks, and lots of them. And then we need to figure out how to actually make it do everything we need it to do. So step 1 is just pull it into the machine. We grab it and we pull it. Okay, simple enough. We pull it in, and it is now in 2 separate pieces. One piece has 2 salts, one piece has 3 leads. Well, we need 3 leads, so this lead, it's a liability. Gonna have to find a way of disposing of it. You could, if we had it, use the disposal, but we don't have access to a disposal, so we have to do it ourselves. Step 2, we pull this away. Since we have already grabbed it from pulling it over, we can pull it away right away. This guy, we have to spend another tick picking it up. But we've managed to pull this way away and slice it open. It's now waiting for these arms here to pull it right into the exit. Easy peasy. But now, with what needs to happen here, we actually drop it from this arm and we grab it with a new one, because we don't need to swing it as far as this one would swing it. So we trade it off to this set here. So we've got a set here whose job is to swing it over. This set has a job of moving this over into this chute right here. This one pulls this into the exit, and then we've got the madness up here. So let's just watch down here for a second. It pulls it in here, slices off the lead. This is already on the exit. Brilliant. So now that we've got that worked out, where is this going? Well, this is rotating counterclockwise. So we pull it this way, but then we swoosh it over and then we push it towards the exit. Brilliant. So we've got 2 salts done and dusted, and then we've just got this lead here. And all it's going to do is nothing. It's going to wander off into an infinite chain of waste lead forever. Because we've got too much lead in this bundle. We don't want it. Okay, so we've got 2 salts and a waste lead taken care of. With the bottom half of this machine, that is pretty much what all of these do. We just haven't seen 23 or 24 just yet. So let's follow this salt. We've already got 2 salt out of the way. Let's follow this one. So it comes up here. It gets slid up where it gets sliced off. So it's now just a salt and a lead. Somehow needs to get from here to there. It's not a trivial journey. Now, how did it even get here? Well, we've got 2 things holding on to our good friend here. We've got this one right here, which is on a length 4 track in the shape of a rhombus. And we got this one, which is the 6-armed monster on a 9-length track up here. They both move simultaneously, so there's no, oh, you can't move that, Adam, nonsense. So now we've got 2 pieces that we already have a hold of. And so the next frame, we can slide them from here over to here and slice them off. We now have 4 independent atoms here. We've got a salt and 3 leads. Lead goes into the end, lead moves up, salt follows second lead. Now this guy moves out of the way for the sake of the salt exodus. The salt needs to have a nice wide open swath of space here to get down towards the exit. So we move this guy out of the way. And then we drop him in. And then 23 and 24 take this salt and dump it into the bin. And so once the machine starts going, it is dropping a salt and a lead every chance it gets. So it is now asymptotically optimal. The only way that you can make this any faster is if you get to that asymptotic optimality sooner. Because the moment it starts, it's good to go. Or if somehow you snuck one of these around and made it in there prior to anything, but you're never going to make that happen. Because once these 3 get there, it's just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 forever. And so the only way you'd be able to get it to work faster is if somehow this were magically up there a moment ago, which is never going to happen. So which one is the problem? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so we get a salt that is taking longer than, like, we have 4 salt in the bin before the 3rd salt we generated even gets there. And so we've got 1 salt missing from that first generation of this thing. If there's some way to turn a lead into a salt, that would be amazing, but you can't. If we were to say put one of these here, it's not going to generate a line of salts. It's still just lead. And so the only way that we could make this work is if somehow magically this guy right here could just poof all the way over here, like through here. If we somehow managed to have an arm right here that was able to grab it and swing it through prior to this guy getting here, the second time, but there's just no space. No space at all. And so we have it take a longer route, and it just takes that tiny little bit longer to reach our goal. So there's some small chance of being able to make this faster, but this is really, really fast. And the part that I feel the least pleased with is this nightmare up here. That we've got a length 9 track. So if we look at the code down here, we have a length 9 track, which means it needs to move 9 times to get all the way around. It needs to grab an atom, it needs to rotate, and it needs to drop. And if it were any other arm, it would need to rotate again to get back to position. Well, grab, rotate, drop, rotate back, that's 4 instructions. The only way you can get 4 instructions done along a track of 9 is to have a cycle that's longer than 12. So right now it's 4 crazy big things. I think it might be possible to add a 5th, possibly a 6th arm to this track and just have them move slower. Maybe? Probably. You can probably add more arms to make it look better, but it'll be more expensive. But it's already really flippin' expensive. 795 G's, that's a really pricey machine. And look at all of these instructions, because we've got various things on various different cycles, because you've got a length 4 track with 2, we've got a length 3 track with 3, we've got a length 3 with 2, and we've got length track 9 with 4. It's just it's a beast. But it's what I learned from doing it the first time around when we had the 2 different exits, was splitting it into these 2 pieces made it work really nicely. But that was when we had 2 lead exits. But you could adapt the idea to this, and there was a lot of trial and error in figuring out where we can move in here, because I had to reorient quite a few things, because either we didn't have space for the track, or moving it a particular way made it run into other stuff, particularly up through this bit where you have to get that salt through when you've got just all sorts of madness happening. But somehow we just got ourselves a nice little track through here to get that salt to its goal. So if you've got a solution that is good, bad, ugly, anything, if you're proud of it and you enjoy it, maybe even you just like the sound that it makes, feel free to let us know down in the comments over on Twitter or in our Discord. Always love seeing everybody's solutions. And if you have a way of improving this one such that it doesn't look quite so bad, feel free to let me know. And I will see you in the next episode of Opus Magnum with Lyte.